be it worksheet 1, 2 or 3, it doesn't matter. Now let us read, because there's certain things that we need to highlight from this so that we understand exactly what we are doing. All right, looking at the two drawings here, one we shall be using M20, one we are using M32. However, I'll be explaining the M32. Of course, if I do M32, the understanding will be the same with the M20. However, now if we look at these two things, firstly you would have drawn this separately, or it would have been part of the drawing anyway. So I drew this for you so that we can see how it works, how it goes through, so that we can see how we put these two plates together. Firstly, since there's one metal plate on top and one at the bottom, the hatching will have to change. Can you see that I'm doing the same direction? I'm just showing you quickly on freehand. All right, then for the top one we change the direction. Why do that? These are the two separate components, these are the two different items, so the hatching has to be different. But this is the one and the same thing, and that one and the same thing, hence my hatching will be like that. So if I've showed you this hatching freehand, so at what angle do we hatch? We use a 45 degree set square when we hatch. And which one is a 45 degree set square? For those who may not be familiar, this is your 45 degree set square when we hatch. So we use this side or that side to be 45 degrees. Of course, this bottom part shall be sitting on your T-square, or we use this side, so that becomes 45. That's your 90 degrees, of course. So that's a set square we use when we hatch assembly drawings. Now, these are fasteners. All right. Now, let us read here as to what they are saying, so that we do things according to the instructions given to us, because if we don't follow instructions, then of course we are in trouble. Using the using the bolt sizes shown, draw bolts that will hold these metal plates together. Use the given center lines to position the bolts. Use a bolt length of 100. All right, so I'm going to underline 100. So what is the size of my bolt? It is 100. It is how much? It is 100. So assuming that's my freehand, so that distance will be 100. All right, leave that bolt head, that's not 100. This is the 100 that we're talking about, so that we shall work out later. All right, and the thread length at 60 millimeters. Let's underline that, the thread length at 60 millimeters. So starting from the bottom, let's go up by 60. 60 should be somewhere there. All right, that is where now we draw these lines and we say 45 degrees. All right, that is where now we draw those lines and then we say 45 degrees. Therefore, this is just a tip of what it might look like. So this distance here is what is 60 millimeters, so that we are clear which part is 60 and which part is 100. So the whole thing is 100, and then the bolt, the threaded part is 60 millimeters. Now, and you've already read that, and the thread length is 60 millimeters for each bolt. Draw the bolt and the nut that will hold the bolt in place. So we're drawing two things here. We're drawing a bolt and we're also drawing a nut. So we need to know how to draw that. We need to know how to draw that. So I'm going to underline that we are drawing a nut and also drawing a bolt. This time, draw the full section, rather the full sectional view of each set of metal plates, showing all the bolt and the nut detail. We need to see the nut detail and the bolt detail. I've already showed you how to section, therefore this is full section. Show 3 faces of the bolt. Yes, the bolt I'll put in bracket 3 faces, but only show 2 faces of the nut. So the nut must have 2 faces. So now we understand that after reading these whole instructions, what is that is required of us to do. Therefore, let us now find out what needs to be done. Now, there is what we call across flats, which will be AF, which we say, the formula is saying 1.5 multiplied by your M. Your M is this part here. Your M is that part here. What does it stand for? It's saying that this is the radius, rather the diameter, not the radius. It's a diameter, but it has threads. So the distance from here to there is 32. So from there to there it will be 16. From there to there is another 16. That's how we get our 32. So in this case here, from there to there it's 10. And then from there to there is 10. That's how we get 20. M is the same thing as if you wrote diameter 20. But M indicates that we have threads. All right. Then we say the next one is if we are drawing the nut, what formula are we going to use for the nut? We say nut, it is capital letter T, which is equal to, we say 0.8 multiplied by your M. So what is your M in this case? Is 32. So we're going to substitute that by 32. Now, what am I talking about? We're talking about the thickness. The thickness or the height is that area here, which we say capital letter T. That is your thickness. Then we move on to the bolt. Your bolt, which is a small letter T, is equal to, we multiply it by 0.7. All right. What are we multiplying? The M again. All right. So that's how you get your thickness for the bolt. So this here would have been small letter T. All right. So that distance here should be small letter T. So from there, that distance that is highlighted, this distance here that I have highlighted will be small letter T when we are drawing the bolt. Now we need to substitute this quickly so that we know exactly what we're talking about. Because we said we're using 32, so I'm going to put in brackets 32, and 32. So what does it mean? You just multiply 0.7 by 32. And what is 0.7 multiplied by 32? Let's give the answer there. It should be 22.4. Now, it's 0.4. So we round off. Forget about that 4. That it becomes 22. The nut, it's 32 multiplied by 0.8. So that gives you 25.6. Now remember we're saying forget about round off, and then if you round off here we're getting 26. So this will then be 26 millimeters. All right, that's what will stand. Then 32 multiplied by 1.5. This is simple. It then says it's 48. Rather 48. Just write it properly. Write 48 millimeters. All right. So in 48 millimeters, that's what we're going to draw. All right, as across flats. Now I want to show you how then do we start this drawing. Firstly, that should have been drawn before you start putting in your fasteners. Okay. Now I'm starting with the first one across flat, which was 48 millimeters, and that's our diameter. So therefore, we're going to measure 24 with our compass. So this is 24. That's my 24. So I'm starting from top. All right. So there's my center line. Remember, I've already drawn this, and then it's ready for me to work on. So I'm going to place my compass at the center. Then I need to draw a circle. Make sure that it pokes properly there, so that the compass does not jump. As you can see that mine is jumping. So we need to make sure that that's one. Your circle is complete. Now, because it's just a construction, it's fine if that is light. So now what we're going to look at is, remember we're drawing a three-face for the nut, for the bolt rather. So how do we then draw a three-face? We first draw a tangent at the bottom here, a light line, and of course you need to draw another tangent on top. That's your tangent. Then remember, this is still light. Then use your 60 degrees set square. Use your 60 degrees set square to draw a tangent. Then here I make it dark immediately, right? Flip over, repeat the same thing on the right hand side, draw a tangent. Now we know it starts from the center, it ends on the line at the bottom there. Then repeat the same thing on the top left. From the center line, draw a tangent. From the center line, draw a tangent. What is a tangent? A line that cuts the circle only at one point. Now we then make that line dark, and then we make this line dark. So if you look at it now, we have a cross flat. Now what is a cross flat? A cross flat in this case will be that distance. This is a cross flat, which we said was 48 millimeters. That is your across flat. So if you may, just to double check, this should be 48. There we go. That is your 48 millimeters. All right. So that is your across flat. Now, this is an auxiliary view of what we are going to draw. Now, we need to project this going down. So I'm going to quickly project corner 1 stops on the base plate, corner 2 must stop at the base plate, corner 3 must stop, and corner 4 must stop. Now this construction are saying, okay, this is where my bolt will be sitting on that plate. That's why I drew that line dark. Now we need to know the thickness or the height. Remember, we've already done the calculations. The bolt thickness 0.7 multiplied by m, which was 32, then we said it's 22 millimeters. So that's the thickness that I was talking about, or the height that I'm talking about. So going up, we need to measure 22. So there we go. This is 22. Right, there's our 22. Then we then draw a line, a light line at the moment. That's our light line. Now that's your height for your bolt head. Now we have corner 1, we have another corner that you're going to use, we have another corner, we have another corner. So let me name these corners. That's 1, that's 2, that's 3, and that's 4. So we are using 4 corners only. All right, so I'm going to use a 60 degree set square. We use a 60 degree set square. Place your set square on corner 1, draw a light construction line. All right, flip over, place your compass on, or your set square rather, on 2, draw a light construction line, and then these construction lines meet at that point. Right, so what needs to be done now? We need to complete 3 and 4, like how we did with 1 and 2. Now your construction lines are done with, in terms of placing your compasses. So 4 and 1 meet at that position. From corner 4 we draw a 60 degree line. From corner 1 we draw a 60 degree line which meets here. Then you place your compass on that position. Open your compass to the thickness height, which is that position here, which we got as 22, and that's where it goes. Then stop there and then scribe an arc, a dark one. It must be a tangent again. Scribe an arc and it must be dark. That's the first one. Now 4 and 3 intersect at this position. So it means we're going to place your compass at this position again, but make sure that your compass comes to the thickness height of 22, which we got for our height for the nut. Then draw or scribe an arc that is dark again. Right? There's it done. Repeat the same thing on 1, because 1 and 2, 3 and 4 is one and the same distance. That is why you just place your compass at the intersection, but test that it's a tangent. You must first double check that yes, it does touch the line. Then draw a dark arc. So after drawing the dark arc, then it means now you need to complete your bolt head. So I'm going to start at 2. That must be drawn dark. 3. That must be drawn dark. And where does it end? It ends where the arcs intersect. Alright? So now there is a line that must be drawn on top, and it must be chamfered. And at what angle should it be chamfered? It must be at 30 degrees. So we're going to chamfer this, as you can see on the side of 1, going to chamfer it at 30 degrees. Right? It must be touching that arc. That's what I'm talking about when I say tangent. Then rotate, same thing on the other side. Place your square there and it becomes a tangent. Alright, then you know exactly where you stop or where to stop for your line at 1, where to stop for your line at 4. There we go. Now on top, because you drew this line at 30 degrees, that one on 30 degrees, so you draw a top line which starts from those 2 lines. Then that becomes your tangent. There we go. This is now our bolt head, and that's how it is constructed. Now there's something missing in our construction of the auxiliary view of our bolt. So let me just show you what is missing there. Remember, we said that it must be, we draw a 32 millimeters or rather M32. So we did not draw or show M32 here. So we place our compass at the center. We draw a circle which is radius 16 because we need 32. Right. Now this is the outside part that we're talking about. We then draw the inside part. All right. So the inside part, remember this is the outside part because we're drawing the bolt. The outside part of the bolt is solid, whereas the inside line that I'm going to draw now must not close. It's showing the end or the depth of your threads from our previous work. So we say there -2 basically means -2 from radius 16, which then becomes 14. All right, so we're going to measure now, because this is 16 diameter, 16 rather radius 16, which was diameter 32 -2, it becomes 13. Then we measure 15. So from our set squares, we're going to measure 15 using our ruler. That's 15. Then we draw this part here, which will be 15. But this second circle does not have to close. It's showing that, you see, I didn't close it there. It's showing that there are threads. All right, so that's what we need. Now we need to get that 100 millimeters long. So 100 must start from where the head is. This where the head starts. That's 100. So this is where it will stop. So this is our height. All right. Now, from this here, we now have to measure 60. Remember, thread 60, 60, 60 stops here. So this is where we draw our line 60. So basically, from here to here, there are no threads. But coming down, there are threads. All right. So what I'm going to do now, let us show now how then do we show this. Basically, we need to draw that dark. We need to draw that light first, rather, and we draw this part light first. All right. Now there's our 60. Now, okay. Now please note that this is what was 32. As you can see, it's aligning with that, and this is where it's also aligning with this. That's your 32. Therefore, that's why it was important for us to draw those lines. This is your circle. From there, that's your line that I drew dark there. So now the next line that we need to draw is, remember we drew this circle, small one, where we said it doesn't close. So this is the one for your threads. Now you want to show your threads. So that's the line that you need to take down from the top circle on the auxiliary view. That's the line, that's a line, that's a line coming down. Likewise here, that's your line, it's coming down. Right. So we have done that construction. Now from that construction, what we need here from the bottom, we use a 45-degree set square. From the end of your bolt, then we draw a dark line using the two lines which were projected from the auxiliary view. Then do the same thing, turn over, do the same thing. We also draw a 45-degree line on this side, and that's our 45-degree line. All right. We then draw this end very dark. That must be dark. So we close this by a light line. The thickness of this line is different, or should I say, they say the line weight of this line is different. So we close that. That's how we do it. So let's just darken this part here, which is 45 degrees. That's the part that is 45 degrees drawn properly. Now it's showing. Then it goes up, and when we go up, it means this is dark up to that position, and that must be dark only up to that position. Remember that bolt is fitting exactly into this space, so this line and that line is a bolt line that is going through there. Then we need to have a different set square to draw the top part. We then use a 60-degree set square to show the end of the threads. 60, as you can see, that's 60. Then turn over, then we draw another 60-degree line to the right hand side, and that's our 60-degree line. Now that we have that 60-degree line, we need to show a dark line here of our, showing that it's the end of the thread. That's the dark line I'm talking about. So that's where it ends. So from here coming down, it's where we said is 60 millimeters. Therefore, we make sure that this is now drawn light, but it must be showing. It needs to be showing that it's there. Now, there's it here. Now, that's how you will have drawn your bolt. Now, this bolt has got no nut. There is no nut into this bolt. Now, we need to put in the nut into this bolt. Now, this is what it looks like. So the nut should go or fit into this area here. So now, because it's saying there two-phase, we have to draw another nut down there.